a homemaker doesn't have to be who you are. It can just be what you do.
Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. This is going to be a good one, especially for you stay-at-home moms who are trying to conquer your household, conquer your life as a mom. I met Kendra, I don't even know how long ago. Did we meet in Periscope days? Like, is that where did we go that far back?
Yes, I started watching you. I say watching. It was really stalking. That's really what we did on Periscope is you just stalked people.
Pretty much.
I stalked you on Periscope, and then I finally got to meet you in person at the Boss Mom retreat in October of last year.
Yes. Okay, I knew we knew each other from before that somehow, but it's only taken, like 7 months for us to bring this interview to fruition? Okay, so we totally skipped over the introduction. Today I have the fabulous Kendra Hennessy from Mother Like a Boss, and I think the name of what you do really does sum it up, because I was just telling Kendra before we started recording that when I started Marvelous Moms Club, I had so many ideas for how I wanted to teach and how I wanted to monetize like this platform. And I just came under the limiting belief, I can't just like teach moms how to be a mom. I'm not an expert mom, but you have turned like that concept that should seem so obvious into something that truly has helped so many different women. So welcome to the podcast. Let me just sit here and talk about you for a half an hour. Maybe you can pitch in a little bit.
Well, thank you very much. That was a great introduction. And you basically just hit the nail on the head of why it took me so long and why I dragged my feet for so long starting this business, because I was like, no one's going to pay to hear about how to like clean their house or be a mom. And I'm not even like the perfect mom or the best mom. So why would anyone listen to me? And I was wrong. So
you were very wrong, because it's been really successful. And it's so funny how you tell yourself this stupid story about how nobody's going to find value in that. But I look at your stuff and I'm like, give me all of it. Just teach me everything, because I think what it does that's really cool. Why don't you just kind of explain, first of all, this is so hard not to just jump in because I've been so excited to talk to you. But first of all, tell everybody how many kids you have, ages, all the basic essential stuff they need to know.
Sure. So I live in upstate New York. I live with my husband. We've been married for just shy of 11 years. It'll be 11 years in a couple of weeks. And we have an 11-year-old daughter, Ava, and a 5-year-old son, Everett. So that's all for now. We're not sure if that's going to expand in the future, but for now, those two keep us busy enough. That's kind of my life right now, is my 2 kids, my husband, and this business with thousands of moms that I look at as just like my best friends. I know as someone who has like a podcast and listeners and an audience, you really do start to feel like they're your friends, even though you've never met them before. So it's great.
Yeah, they totally are. I totally agree with you. And sometimes it's hard because you're like, I know you guys are out there, but I don't get to see you. The only people we talk to are the ones we're sitting here talking to now, the guests that we have, but it totally becomes this amazing, solid community. So I think that's awesome. Very, very cool. So how you just explained kind of what held you back from starting Mother Like a Boss, but what finally pushed you and became like the awareness that this is a need, I'm just going to go and fulfill the need?
So, that's a really great question. And I've actually given that a lot of thought lately because I've been asked that question a few times. And so really what started me kind of on this journey was that I used to own a cleaning business. So for 10 years, I owned a residential cleaning business in our local area. It was pretty successful. I did well. It was a good business. But what I was realizing was even though I owned my own business, I felt like an employee of my business, meaning that I was still trading dollars for hours. I had to be in someone's home in order to clean it. Even if I had employees, it was still based on hours, because a cleaning business, you can't scale. You can grow it, you can't scale it. So I was really looking at the future, and I wanted to be able to stay at home more with my kids. And I was also looking into the online business space and that kind of stuff. So originally I had thought, well, maybe I could kind of like show people how to start cleaning businesses. And then within a month I was like, I don't want to do this. This is awful. This does not light me up at all.
Right.
But along the way of learning that, like, I met some people just in the online space, and this was like early 2016. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that the place where I had the most knowledge was in managing a home. And
Mm-hmm.
it came from obviously the fact that I had a cleaning business. And so cleaning, I knew very well, but I also approached it in a different way, and kind of a different way than some people that are on YouTube and they're just showing you like the basics of how to clean. I was more about teaching moms how to manage their house so they could enjoy their home, so they could
Mm-hmm.
actually enjoy being a mom and enjoying their kids. And so it really just took off from there. I started with this little idea of I'm just going to teach like basic organization, cleaning, the things that I did in my business. And then quickly it morphed into more of a modern homemaking, where I just used my experiences of feeling like, as the words I call it are reluctant homemaking, where in the modern era, we kind of like shy away from the word homemaker. And I just kind of decided that I wanted to be on this mission to modernize it a little bit and show moms that it didn't matter if you were staying at home with 5 kids or you were a CEO of a large company or anything in between. You could still learn to be a really awesome homemaker and cultivate a beautiful home that's inviting and fun without spending all of your time doing it. So that's kind of the genesis of
I
it.
love it. Well, and I
Yeah.
feel like that really does answer such a huge need because you're direct enough that people like know what they're going to get from you, but you're not discriminating against the type of mom who needs what you have to offer. Because even for me, like people tell me all the time, you need to have somebody you hire to clean your house. You need to have somebody you hire to do this and this and this. And I've tried. And people who are
Yeah.
listening to this who are like in my business are probably cringing when I admit that it only lasted one time to have cleaning people come because I
Right.
genuinely kind of like to clean my house. You know, like I don't like to pick up after my kids, but it still makes me feel overall fulfilled to have a hand in that. Like I still need to feel that that's part of my role as a mother, as a wife, as a homemaker because that's
Yep.
just as ingrained into me as running a business is. I feel just as accomplished at the end of the day if my house is clean as I do if I just made $1,000. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I
Yes,
think
I
that's
know exactly what you
great.
mean.
You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my life. Hello.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. I'm one of those weirdos. Like I like to clean. Obviously, I did it for 10 years for other people,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm the same as you. I enjoy cultivating a home, and I'm a pretty modern woman. Obviously, I own a business, and I'm kind of the breadwinner of the family, and I'm a Girl Scout leader, and I'm all these other things too. It's not like my entire life is wrapped up in being a homemaker, and that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to get across to moms. Is that a homemaker doesn't have to be who you are; it can just be what you do. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be your whole identity doesn't have to be wrapped up in servitude in order to serve your home. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be both. Yeah.
I love that so much. So going deeper into that, how do you kind of change that perception or how have you been giving women kind of the permission to have that as one role but not have to be their sole role? Like how is it, have you made it kind of more fun or feel a little bit more gratifying to women that you've worked with?
Yeah, I one of the ways is that I talk a lot about mindset and ending the perfectionism because I think that there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people out there who are talking about homemaking, and I think like homemaking and everything that surrounds it gets compared to like Martha Stewart a lot. Like she's kind of the go-to, like, oh, I'm not like Martha Stewart. And the thing is that
Yeah.
I don't think Martha Stewart teaches homemaking. I think that she teaches aspects of homemaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't teach you how to like run your home. She teaches you how to like create pretty little napkins for Thanksgiving. And
Mm-hmm.
that's wonderful, but that's not a lot of people. So really, I just kind of, I try and get people away from the perfectionism and also change their mindset about the way they feel about cleaning and organizing and systems and time ownership. To really dig a little bit deeper and not just give them a bunch of worksheets and printables and say, here you go, here's the way that you do things in your house, because it's not one size fits all. We all have different lives. And so I've really come to realize that my area of expertise is more talking about the mindset and digging a little bit deeper, figuring out why you hate cleaning. A lot of people don't hate cleaning because they hate cleaning. Cleaning is it's just a part of living. One of my favorite things to say is that cleaning isn't a punishment for living in your house any more than brushing your teeth is a punishment for eating. Like we're like, oh, I always have to clean. I'm like, well, you always have to brush your teeth too, but you don't stop eating.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of reasons that people kind of hate homemaking or hate cleaning. And a lot of it goes a lot deeper into like their childhood. And we don't get into like psychology, but I mean, just like recognizing that maybe the reason is because you were forced to do something as a kid and now you're rebelling against it. Or maybe you're a perfectionist and you never realized you were a perfectionist and you're like, I don't like to clean because it never feels good enough. Or maybe my mom did everything in our house and so I never learned how and now I feel like a failure. There's all these
That's
other
me.
reasons.
That one's me.
Yes, right? So true. Like
Yep.
so many people, they just feel like their moms were like godlike in the house and they did everything. And then they're like, well, I can't do all that. So I'm not good enough. And
Yeah.
instead we can kind of switch that and figure out what's the best way for you to manage your home that's different than the way your mom managed her home or the way your neighbor does it. So really getting rid of some of that perfectionism is a huge part of moving forward.
I think doesn't that apply to like all of life? I mean,
Oh,
I,
yes.
but I think this is an area when it's the most important to really be aware of that it's just such an extremist view, right? Like the whole concept of what you're doing is you don't have to be one extreme version of yourself. You get to be a well-rounded person. Nobody expects you to be like, I think sometimes we do that disservice. We tell people their whole life what they're really talented at, and it almost like pigeonholes them to not believe that they're allowed to be good at other things, or that maybe it's bad if they go against what they were raised to do. But I know a lot of women who were raised by stay-at-home moms who didn't leave, who have gone on to start businesses, and I'm sure it's a battle when you're used to one ideal or you're told that you're supposed to be one way and then you choose something different. And I think obviously if you would start with mindset, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, and then there's people on the other end that like they grew up with maybe a single mom that worked all the time. So then they didn't even necessarily see that traditional homemaking aspect. And now they have grown up and they've had children, they've decided to go the stay-at-home mom route. And now they don't feel like they know what they're doing either. They're like, well, I never had this modeled to me and maybe this is the wrong thing and I feel guilty because I'm not contributing to the finances. And it's like no matter what end of the spectrum you're on, you always feel like, oh, I'm not doing it as good as I should. And it's like, just do it. Your kids don't care about perfection. Your house doesn't care about perfection. It cares about you doing what's right for you and making your home feel good for you and your family.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much. So give me a little bit more. I mean, we talked about your background a little bit, but I just wanted people to know that I don't know, sometimes it just helps to relate to the person who creates these concepts. And something that you
Sure.
told me, you dropped out of college to start a business with no business background while you were pregnant. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's not being thrown into the ring of fire, I don't know what is. So what do you feel like pushed you? What was the reason that you dropped out of college? Was it because you were pregnant? And was it really like an ultimatum moment where you're like, okay, I have to choose now. How am I going to live my life as a mom? Or what was kind of your journey?
So I dropped out of college, and it's funny. I just within the last like year and a half started saying dropped out because I used to before that just think I stopped going, and it's like that's called dropping out. That's what it is. We dropped out of college, but I never looked at it that way. I always looked like, oh, it just stopped going, thinking like maybe I would go again someday, 20 years later, and I stopped going to college and just dropped out thinking I might still continue to go and do something different. But really the reason was because I didn't like what I was going for. It was my senior year. I literally had one semester left. And I was going for early childhood education. And I just one day just was like, I had a panic attack moment and was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to go student teach. I don't want to do this. I love children. I love teaching. I don't want to be a teacher though. And that was really difficult because then it was like my whole life, I thought I was going to be a teacher. Talk about being pigeonholed. It's so funny you say that. My whole life, people were like, you would be a great teacher. You'd be an amazing teacher. So I just thought that's what I had to do.
Right.
And I thought I had to go to college. And at the same time, like very, very quickly, basically a friend had a neighbor that had a cleaning business. She was starting it over in this area. She needed someone to help her. I needed a part-time job since I wasn't going to college anymore. And so that's just how it started. And then a few months later, I found out I was pregnant. My now husband and I were engaged, and then we got a little surprise as we were planning the wedding. So it kind of all happened at once. And then the woman I was working with got pretty ill and she just couldn't do physical stuff anymore. So I took over the business. It was like this was all within 6 months. Like all of this happened in a 6 month period of time.
Wow.
And so I didn't plan any of it. It just happened. Like the December before I dropped out of college, if you had told me any of that would have happened, I would have told you were nuts. Like I didn't expect any of it. It just sort of happened. And I've always been a very independent person. And I've also been one of those people that doesn't like to be told I can't do something. So I think the fact that I had a lot of friends who were also 22 and finishing college, and all of my college friends and my high school friends, and the fact that a lot of them were like, oh, you're going to start a cleaning business. Wow, good for you. And it was like really sarcastic and condescending. I was like, oh, I'm going to have the best cleaning business in the world. You just see. And I think it was that. It was the push and the like, I can do this. I can do anything. And also, to be very honest, just blind 22-year-old naivete. Honestly, I don't think.
Isn't that the
think
best
all
sometimes?
It is. Oh, I think back now, because now at 34, I'm like, I don't think at 34, I look at everything and I'm like, oh, should I do that? I don't know. Is that the best idea? And at 22, I was like, sure, seems like a great idea. Start a business. What could go wrong? So,
I'm invincible.
That's kind of what happened. Exactly.
I love it. See, there's not always bad things that come from those crazy years, in your 20s when you have wild-eyed ambition and you believe you can do anything. It's fine. Look at what came of it.
Right. It was great.
And then you gave yourself 10 years. You got into your 30s and you turned it into something even more magnificent. So that's just life,
Absolutely.
Right? Such is life.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about the courses that you offer and the Mother Like a Boss Vault. I'm in there right now, and the thing that I'm looking at that I'm really obsessed with is Purge It Like It's Hot. This is a lot of free resources that you provide. I'm getting ready to move at the end of summer. I'm in the purging mode, and this is something that I wish I would have had because I want a list, but it's like you can't make a list because then you go in there and you just start purging it, and people love to check stuff off of a list. But in addition to that, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more of like kind of what you started and what you offer in there? Because I think everybody needs to go sign up for it. And where can they go to access that?
Yeah, so the Mother Like a Boss Vault is just at motherlikeaboss.com/vault, and it's totally free. It's like a free resource library. It just has checklists and PDFs and some free video trainings in there. There's a free mini course in there. It's basically just like a resource library of stuff that I have, mostly because I had all these checklists and all these videos and stuff, and I was like, people are downloading them, and then someone downloads one and they want another and they have to sign up again. And I just find that really cumbersome for people to have to do, especially since I work with moms. I like to streamline things as much as possible, like one-stop shopping. You sign in, you look at all the stuff. So that's where you can get that. And it really just part of my business model, and I just learned this from some amazing people, that I just want to give as much content away for free as I can. And then when people are ready to take the next step, then obviously I have courses that they can invest in. But I just always want to be able to provide as much for free so that people feel like they're getting helped, even if they're not in a place to invest yet. And then I always say, like, obviously not everything is free. There's going to be courses that are a couple of $100s, and that's because that's the next step. That's the next level of investment. But if someone just wants to get started right now, they can just go in the vault and get a bunch of free resources. So,
and you guys, there's a lot. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of good free stuff to where you'll be like, what do I get when I pay for stuff? If she's going to give me this much for free, she's probably going to solve my whole entire life problem if I pay. Right?
Yes. Yeah, it's I'm very happy that it's all worked out and people seem really happy with it. It is funny that recently, within the last week or so, someone emailed and said, my person who does my email said that they were like, oh yeah, I signed up for the vault, but I looked around and like I don't really need any of it. So, and that was it. And my person was like, okay, well, it's free. I don't really know do you want us to refund you something? I don't really know what you want from this email.
Do you want a lollipop?
Right. It's like, you could just not use it again. It's fine. But I thought, wow, there's a ton of stuff in there. Like, you didn't find anything you needed? Funny.
I highly doubt that she actually has a household that she has to manage.
Probably.
If there was nothing valuable, because I'm sitting here like, well, I know what I'm doing for the next 3 hours of my life. I'm going to be watching all this content. But the nice thing is, guys, there's a combination of audio files, just text, PDFs, videos. It's such a good resource. It's something I think everybody needs to have access to. So go check that out as soon as you finish listening, or maybe as you're listening, you've been multitasking because you're a mom and you do that.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to nerd out with you for just a minute. I have another call to jump on here soon, but you are reading the exact same book I'm reading right now, The Untethered Soul. Are you loving it?
Yes. Oh my
It's
gosh.
so good.
So I started listening to it while I was at Disney World in December, and I was listening by the pool, and I was like trying not to cry while I was next to people at Disney World.
Yes.
So now I like took a little break, and then I'm re-listening to it a little now that I'm, just you're in a different place even 6 months later. And it's just it's so good. It's so thought-provoking. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
My problem is it's so soothing, and it really helps you to untether a little bit, and so I fall asleep every time I listen to it because it helps me. It's probably like the closest thing I can get to meditating right now. It's the only way to shut my brain off, to just totally like listen and absorb into what he's trying to explain. And anyway, even though I fall asleep, it's not because it's boring. It's just really good, and it really does help you.
No, it's very soothing.
It's really, really soothing. Okay, and then final question for you. What makes you a marvelous mom?
I think I'm a marvelous mom because I'm flexible. I was going to say I'm not strict, but I'm really flexible. I'm a very go with the flow kind of mom. And I think a lot of people think I'm type A because of the nature of what I do, but it's actually the exact opposite. I know that at the end of the day, things being clean and put away and laundry being done is not going to be the stuff my kids remember at the end of their life. So that's why I try and get that stuff done when I can and fit it in so that I can just enjoy being a mom. So I'm just really flexible, and I just love spending time with my kids. We have a lot of fun.
I love it. And I love that you're not strict.
No, not really. My husband is. I'm not.
Someone has to be. Somebody has to be.
Yes.
I love that. I love your answer. I love you. You're so fantastic. Everybody go follow her. Go check out Mother Like a Boss. Go get the vault. Get all the things. We will link to it in the show notes. Just go to marvelousmomsclub.com to get access to all that stuff, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much, Kendra.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Thanks.
Of course. Okay, bye, guys.
Please tell me I'm not the only one who doesn't enjoy spending hours at the makeup counter or even on the makeup aisles at Target. If you are like me and you struggle and you feel like makeup should be fun and not stressful and overwhelming, then you need to check out Mascara Beauty. I am obviously a huge advocate for mascara. It's one of my favorite companies in the entire world. It's my favorite makeup line, and it has saved my life. I can do my makeup while I'm in the line for carpool. I can do it in under 5 minutes. So if you want to learn more about mascara, go to marvelousmascara.com to check it out.